Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words about sort of what goes on in the college houses and what goes on in particular to address. If you were here earlier this morning, um, one of the slides, it wasn't a happy slide, it was a slide about actually the sort of path to suicide. You remember the slides on the eye care training. And one of the most, the thing that came home to me in that slide was the word isolation. One of the problems that students have is often, especially first-year students, is feeling isolated here. Especially if they've come from far away, there's nobody else here from their high school or from their state or their country sometimes. I think one of the most important functions of the faculty and the staff in the college houses is to help students feel less isolated. Right from the very beginning, in fact, I shouldn't be the only one talking about this because we have two other faculty directors of two of the houses here. And I think to a person, I think we feel that job one in the houses is to create community. Is to create community among, and whether it's among, students across all 4 years, like in Phil's house, or Annette and I are faculty directors in first-year houses and freshman houses in the quad. It's important for students to feel connected to one another and connected to us. So what you'll read about in the fancy brochure are some of the various what we call residential programs and other facilities and activities that go on in the houses that, for the most part, have the goal of creating communities of various kinds. Some of it's just community of people who like to hang around together. We try to get students to find a community on their floor or their pod or their hall or their, some small unit of people who live contiguously to one another so that they can feel, they don't feel alone. And the way the communities build up is that there are, students live in dorm rooms, right, in the quad. There are all kinds of crazy shapes and configurations of singles and doubles and triples, and in some of the other houses, the high rises is more like apartment living. And of course, we're excited this year that this coming year there'll be a new college house coming online down on Hill Field. So there'll be 12 college houses instead of 11. Now, in each of the houses, there is sort of working from the ground up. There are on each hall or floor or pod, there are RAs, resident assistants, resident advisors, and GAs, graduate advisors, and or GAs, so that there's somebody nominally there's a nominal shepherd, as it were, to help the students get together occasionally, to lay down the law occasionally, to navigate disagreements occasionally, and to keep their eyes open. So one of the things they do is watch for the kinds of behaviors we heard about this morning, where there are things that students are doing that are self-destructive or all of a sudden quite different from their usual routine. And we often catch things there. And then from the RAs and GAs, it comes up to the staff in the house, right? So every house has a staff person called the house dean. Most of them, but not all, but most of them are also, they also have PhDs or doctoral degrees in some discipline and may do some teaching of undergraduates somewhere on the campus so that they're connected in a more direct way with the academic life of the campus. But the way I describe my house dean is she's the one who actually does all the work in the house. I get to take the credit sometimes, but she actually does the work. And of sort of managing the staff, the RA and GA staff, managing the house coordinator, who is another staff member who helps out with events and keeping paperwork and things like that. And also is often our connection to the rest of the university in terms of the housing office and the facilities office, right, when something breaks or when the student needs to move or something like that. So that's the sort of staff of the house, and then each house does have 3 faculty members who live there. And one of them is designated the faculty director, and the other 2 are called faculty fellows. And I mean, in some houses, it's more. There's more of a difference than in others. I mean, I don't want to speak for you guys, but in Reedby College House where I live, it's a distinction without a difference. So there are 3 faculty members who live there, and we're sort of a team. Except I get appointed 4 years at a time, and they get appointed 2 years at a time. That's how it works. But again, I mean, our point of being there is to provide, again, a point of entry into the faculty. I mean, faculty are people too. That we have, collectively we have kids and dogs and cats and problems, and but we like to hang around with the students, and we invite them into our homes frequently. Sometimes just for milk and cookies, or some kind of meal. Sometimes for something that's more academic, we'll have guests from around the campus or from beyond the campus come and talk to students about things we think they might be interested in, or some of them might be interested in, like careers in medicine, or careers in business, or careers in things other than medicine and business, which is something that some students feel a little anxious about. And I think that's the idea. I mean, and then there are these specific residential programs that many of us run. They range from the directly academic, for instance, all the Huntsman students. The Huntsman program is a dual program between arts and sciences and Wharton School. The first year they all live together in Kings Court. And I think that's an important part of their experience. In the college, in my house, there's a program called the Integrated Studies Program, which is a first year program for students who are college students who are going to be Benjamin Franklin scholars, but they live together and actually take one big class, or 2 actually big classes together. And there are other things like that, and then there are things like there's a floor where they only speak French in Gregory House. There's a floor devoted to theater and cinema. The high rises. There are floors in halls devoted to music or community service. In fact, the hall where I live is a group of students who head up to the Powell School fairly frequently to work with the kids and teachers as a collective. So I think that's the sort of feeling we're trying to engender in the houses, so that students, again, right from the beginning, have a place where they belong, and then they sort of go out and find the rest of the campus, but at least at the beginning, there's sort of a home base that's sort of very firm and strong, so that if they're feeling adrift, or the first time they get rejected from an a cappella group, or whatever it is that they were sure they were going to be part of, there's some place for them to land on their feet, and then a place where people we do have our eyes open and our ears open for trouble occasionally. As faculty director of CHAS, of the whole damn thing, as it were, one of the privileges I get is to read all of the so-called incident reports that come from all of the houses, and most of them are kind of routine, roommate disputes, or trash in the hall, or somebody got drunk and couldn't swipe in on Saturday night. But occasionally I see things that are more disturbing. And the house deans, of course, do this first, but occasionally I will make the outreach to the SIS team that you heard about a few minutes ago, or to a student's individual school, just to make sure that if there's a problem, that the academic side isn't going to be made, isn't going to make it worse. So that's sort of a thumbnail sketch of what goes on, and I'm happy to take questions or talk about it anytime, and especially, I'm always happy to talk to faculty members who are interested in living in the house. So, and we have a fairly consistent turnover rate, because the faculty fellows in particular are appointed 2 years at a time, and it's something that people like to do for a while. And then they stop. So we do have typically 3 or 4 openings a year in the system, because there's 36 of us now, counting the new house. And this was a banner year because we had to populate the new house too, so we had 7 openings actually. So if you ever thought about doing that, please contact me. I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Well, thank you, Dennis. secondary students. So it sounds like there's a really good network to watch over students in their first year, maybe second
So,
year, but
so,
not
so,
so much
so
in
this
third
is,
and
I mean, so
fourth.
the houses all, I mean, structurally operate the same way with faculty. Every house has 3 faculty members. There are 4, some first-year houses, 5, I guess. So the 3 houses in the Quad, Kings Court, and Hill College House, which is about, because it's going to be reconstructed, about to move to Sansom. And the new college house will be a first-year house this year. There are exclusively upperclassmen houses. The 3 high-rise buildings are essentially exclusively upperclassmen. And then there are 3. Is that add up to 12? 4-year houses. So Stouffer College House is a 4-year house. Gregory House is 4 years, and Du Bois.
But are students required to be in a house?
Students are
only for their
required
first
to
year?
be in the house first year.
Not
And then, some students move off into fraternity and sorority houses, some students move off campus entirely, or into one of these places like, the Radiant, or some of these other places that are vaguely connected to the university.
Great. Well, thank you, Dennis.